Hello and welcome to our tutorial. Here you will learn how to set up a Freeradius server in a Docker container on the M4000. You will also learn how to configure the switch so that it authenticates a specific port with Radius. Then you will learn how to authenticate yourself with such a port in Windows. Let's take a look at the setup first and see how everything is wired together. The PC is only needed to set up the Radius server and the switch. Connect the PC to any port at the switch and connect the M4000 on any port at the switch. To set it up like this, you also need some more requirements for your setup PC. Your setup PC or laptop needs an internet connection. If your M4000 has no internet connection, you also need Docker installed on your computer. Otherwise, you won't need it. Your computer also needs an SSH client. This could be the pre-installed Windows SSH client in your terminal or something else. Then you need an SFTP client to transfer and edit files between your computer and the M4000. To be able to use SSH, you have to activate it in the UOS. To do this, open the web interface and log in with your credentials. Then click on Control Center, Identity and Access, and enable SSH access. Don't forget to disable it after configuring. Then open your terminal and start an SSH connection to get started. To load the image on the M4000, you can download it directly when it has an internet connection, or you can load it via your computer and transfer it through the local network. In this case, I download it directly from Docker Hub, because the M4000 has an active internet connection. Create a new folder for the Radius server config files. In this folder, we will save all config files and the Docker Compose file for startup. To have a default config file as a template, we create a new container from the image to copy the default config files in our folder. Make sure that the container is running. Then copy the 3 config files from the container in our own config folder. After all files are copied, you should stop and remove the container. Then make sure that all files were copied successfully. To be able to edit the config, you have to be the owner of the files. With the change owner command, you can make yourself the owner of the files. Open your SFTP client to open the authorize file at first to create a user. To create a user, we only need this one line. Copy it and paste it underneath to edit it. Make sure to remove the hash. Here you can replace Bob with a username you want to use. To set in password for this user, replace hello with a secure password. After editing the file, save it. To add a switch, you have to edit the clients.conf file. Here you can paste this block. Then you can edit the name and have to edit the IP address to the IP of your switch and change the secret to a safe secret. For the last config change, open the EAP file. Here we have to activate the authentication standard for Windows computers, so that we are able to authenticate at the switch within Windows laptop. To do this, delete the MD5 and change it to mshapapv2 for the default EAP type. To start the container, we use Docker Compose. If you do not have this function, you could also use a regular startup command or update Docker. To use it, we have to create a file with all startup arguments to start the container. Now you can start the container. To do this, we use Docker Compose. The D argument in the command starts the container in detached mode, so it can run in background. After running this command, we make sure our container is running. To use the authentication with the switch, we have to set it up. To do this, click on AAA configuration to add the Radius server. Here you have to enter the IP of the server. The timeout and retransmit can be at the default value. And at the last, you have to type in your key, which you should note from configuring the Radius server. Then you have to specify a port that should be authenticated. To do this, click on NAS and then Configuration. Here you can enable the authentication process. Then enable the re-authentication and specify a port that should be used for authentication. In this case, we use port 8. This is the last port we have in this switch. Set this to port based 802.1x to activate it. After this, you should apply your settings. In this window, we can check the authorization process of a client. Currently, there is no client connected to port 8. Now we will connect in Windows laptop to port 8 on the switch. This is the same port that we set to port based 802.1x. After connecting it, the user on the laptop gets asked to type in a username and password for this network. To authenticate in Windows, you should do the following steps after you plugged in the network cable. Open the Ethernet settings to activate the 802.1x authentication. Then enable the authorization settings and set them to PEAP and mkdir v2. Save the settings and open the network adapter list. In this list, you can double-click your adapter and click on Properties. Here you should click on Authentication and enable the authentication. Click on Settings and disable the certificate validation. Here you also could type an anonymous username for your privacy. After doing this, click on OK and Additional Settings. Here we have to save our credentials for login, because Windows did not ask for them. Here you should type in your credentials that you created in the authorize file. You also can have multiple users. To save all settings, it is important to click on OK. Back in the settings page, you should see that you are signed in. In this screen, you can view this progress live from the switch. When the cable is connected, the port state is at first at unauthorized. After the user types in the username and password, it has access to it. When the cable to the laptop is unplugged, then you can see this also here. After unplugging the cable, the state switches again to link down. After full setup, note that you disable SSH access at the end. To do this, open your UOS again. Here click on Control Center, then Identity and Access, and disable SSH access. In this tutorial, you have learned how to set up a Freeradius server in a Docker container on the M4000. You also learned how to configure the switch so that it authenticates a specific port with Radius. Then you have learned how to authenticate yourself with such a port in Windows. To learn more about Radius, you should look in our next videos. See you then.